Good evening, one and all. We welcome you all to the international webinar series on holistic health, well-being, and sustainable development 2024, commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 76 years of independence, United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2015 to 2030, as part of awareness and campaigns in collaboration with Sri Holistic Health Foundation India and Sri Research Institute Center for Art, Sciences and Wellbeing. Before we start our sessions, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः
With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue with today's commemorations. Today, we are commemorating International Hot and Spicy Food Day, to celebrate and devour some of the spiciest dishes in the world. Every country on the globe has its cooking style and recipes, and while nations eat mild food, others enjoy hot food items will make you gulp down a jug of water. There are some super spicy dishes available, and people aren't afraid to consume them. Spices have been consumed for over 6,000 years to add flavor to a dish and for their many health benefits. For instance, spices can combat inflammations and having healing properties. It's due to these reasons that spices grew popular in ancient times. Ancient Greeks imported Eastern spices like pepper, cassia, cinnamon, and ginger to the Mediterranean since spices and herbs played a role in medical science. According to sources, around 460 to 337 BC, Hippocrates wrote of herbs and spices that include saffron, cinnamon, thyme, coriander, mint, and marjoram. The father of botany, as Theophrastus was known, in his two books wrote about 600 spices and herbs in the period between 372 BC and 287 BC. Romans created another use for spices. They often utilized them in spice-flavored wines and spice-scented balms and oils. Some spices were also used in poultices and healing plasters due to of their healing properties. Curcumin also was used in Ayurvedic medicine to treat conditions like arthritis, autoimmune disorders, headaches, and nausea. So not to mention, Ayurveda has in detail mention about various spices and herbs, which is the earliest known medicine known to the mankind before even any country is known about the spices and herbs. Capsaicin, an active component of chili peppers, is known to destroy cancer cells. A 2015 US and China study found that eating spicy food 6 or 7 days a week lowered mortality rates by 14%. So if you have never liked spicy food, it's about time you change your diet. Trust us, it's a decision you will enjoy for the rest of life. Hot and spicy is a term used to describe something warm and contains a lot of spices. Spices are popular in hot climates because of their antibacterial properties. Mexico is among the most famous countries where spices are loved. Mexico has over 60 species of chili pepper variety. Eat hot and spicy food to reduce weight and boost metabolism. Carolina Reaper is the world's hottest chili state, the Guinness World Records. Japan's pepper is also known as shishito. A cup of chili peppers has about 107 milligrams of vitamin C. So this day highlights spicy food and bring business to Mexican and Indian restaurants. It means more tips for the waiters too. It promotes spicy food. Spicy food has some advantages for the immune system and digestive health. This day plays an important role in highlighting them, speaks of the advantages of spices. Today is also commemorated as Printing Ink Day in on January 16th in US. Annually celebrated on the closest Tuesday to January 16th since 1977. Ink is generally a colorant, such as a pigment or dye used to deliver color to a surface like paper. Back in the day, there were no printers or ball pens to take notes. So people used materials like colored vegetables or blood of fish, amongst others. Imagine having to kill a fish every time you needed to send a note to a friend. Ink has been around for a long time. The first man-made ink was mostly developed in Egypt in the West about 4,500 years ago. And in East, it is much more older. It was formulated by mixing carbon suspensions in water with additives with natural gums to hold it together. Later on in 2500 BC, the Chinese and Egyptians simultaneously developed inks made from similar materials, soot derived from wood smoke and animal fat, and condensed with a substance from animal skin called gelatin. Soot is a dark pigment, hence why most writings found from time were black. They would use an adhesive gum material to mold them into rods, which were eventually dried and stored. Upon use, they would take the rod and dilute it in water to activate it before application. Around 400 BC, Indians developed their ink called masi. It was made from burnt bones, tar, and pitch. And like our modern day pens, a needle was used to apply the ink to parchments. Following them, the Romans created a new type of ink with the use of ground irons and tannin from gallnuts, which formed the basis for inks through the coming centuries. In 1440, the mechanical printing press was invented by Johannes Gutenberg, but it had a unique problem. Existing ink did not absorb fast enough into the paper and inconveniently smudged as the press moved. To find a solution to this problem, Gutenberg came with the fast oil based ink made from turpentine, walnut oil, and soot. This singular contribution to the print world earned him the father of the print title. In 1772, the first patent was issued in England for making colored ink as a millennia advanced new print technology developed. In the 1970s, there was an oil crisis and printers started looking for an alternative to petroleum based inks, such as water, soy, vegetable based ink, which are more sustainable and friendlier to our work environment. Despite what some people may think, things have truly evolved in print world. It is now used in many beneficial aspects of our lives, and the information we print on paper provides not only environmental, social, and economic benefits, but also helps maintain public health, welfare, and environment, making paper on a few sustainable products in the world. CMYK stands for cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. They are further referred to as full color printing or four color printing and are most commonly used printing technique. Using these four primary colors as its base, varying combinations of these four is what produces virtually every color you can think of. Inkjets are less expensive to buy, though the ink used for this is more expensive. Laser printers are good for text and documents, whereas inkjet printers are better at printing photos. Also, as well as being more expensive to buy, laser printers are usually heavier and take up more space than more compact inkjet printer. The first printing press show that first movable printing press was created in China about 200 years earlier than Gutenberg's invention, as per the recent findings. But even before that, also press do exist in different forms. The fastest office printer in the world is currently the HP OfficeJet Pro X. It printed 500 sheets of paper in 7 minutes and 18 seconds. Without the printing press, it may have been near impossible for artists to share ideas and designs through books and parchments. Stan Lee initially wanted the Hulk to be grey, but during the printing of the series, each copy resulted in different shades of green. And Hulk Green's color was a printing mistake. The Bible has over 5 billion copies sold and distributed in over 2,000 languages. It becomes the most printed book in the world, other than Bhagavad Gita. The creation of printed, that has been a monumental discovery to say the least. Without printing, we wouldn't have books, we wouldn't have read the news, we wouldn't have the movies or be able to learn or fill forms to travel. This breakthrough has opened doors for the fast distribution of information, and it's revolutionary. As the years progress, so does the need for new ink and print solutions. The future holds so many possibilities, and this day encourages research in printer technology and production. It's obvious to the interesting stories behind many of our everyday items and tools. This day is a wonderful exercise for us to visit our history books and learn a little more about how far our inks have come. It's a mini history lesson. Today is also commemorated as Prohibition Remembrance Day in US on January 16th. Annually, Groups that were instrumental in the passage of 18th Amendment was the Women's Christian Temperance Union, WCTU. They believed an amendment would protect children, women, and families from the effects of alcohol abuse by reducing social problems such as poverty, crime, mental illness, and drunkenness. Prohibition had effects on society, but it isn't as straightforward as it might seem. Prohibition in the United States was a nationwide constitutional ban on the production, importation, transportation, and sale of alcoholic beverages from 1920 to 1933. In 1906, waves of attacks began on the sale of the liquor, led by the Anti Saloon League, driven by the reaction to urban growth, as well as the rise of evangelical Protestantism and its view of saloon culture as corrupt and ungodly. In addition, many factory owners supported prohibition in their desire to prevent accidents and increase the efficiency of workers in an era of increased industrial production and extended work hours. Prohibition came about after many years of work by those in temperament movement who wanted complete abstinence from alcohol. As a whole, the movement had close ties to the church. By the time the amendment went into effect, many states had already prohibition laws on the books, which helped with the final passage of the amendment. The amendment was quite controversial during its 13-year tenure, and public pressure eventually led to its repeal. There were debates about its positive and negative qualities during its implementation, as there have been since its overturning. Overall alcohol consumption declined during the prohibition period, cirrhosis rates decreased, and admissions to mental hospitals for alcohol related issues also decreased. Today is also commemorated as Rid the World of Fad Diets and Gimmicks Day in US. It is celebrated on every Tuesday after the third Sunday in January, which starts Healthy Weight Week to promote weight management and encourage people to eat healthily and balanced diet. Weight management includes specific techniques and physiological process that enable one to attain and maintain a certain body weight. Most of these techniques comprise long-term life strategies that promote healthy eating as well as daily physical activity. It involves developing meaningful ways to monitor one's weight over time. Fat diets often eliminate foods rich in nutrients the body needs to stay healthy. These diets may cause dehydration, fatigue, nausea, and headaches. We may start by having a healthy diet made up of fruits and vegetables, dairy products with low fat, and lean protein sources. We may also follow an exercise plan appropriate to our age and body composition. Eat only food that nourishes the body. There is no time like the present to start. Start exercising to get into shape. Start off with light exercises and build up your way up to as your strength increases. Being overweight increases one's risk of falling ill. Your vulnerability to illness in this context varies according to how much excess weight is in question. Statistically speaking, obesity may shorten life expectancy. Overweight people may become vulnerable to mood and anxiety disorders. Making it a habit to eat only healthy food may stretch one's lifespan. Diet gimmicks are simply a way of conning people out of their money or savings, capitalizing on their desperate attempt to lose weight. The most effective ways to manage one's weight are eating healthy food and doing structured exercise. Today is also commemorated as signing of the peace accords in El Salvador. Salvador's Salvadorans finally had a measure of peace with signing of these agreements. With this, all sides mutually agreed on a ceasefire that was not officially broken for many years, allowing the country to rebuild and re-emerge from the ashes of war. Today is also commemorated as National Without a Scalpel Day in US. The day celebrates the first time an angioplasty, a surgical operation to clear a narrowed or blocked artery, was performed without a scalpel and goes on further serve the purpose of spreading the word about the minimally invasive procedures that make surgery much better and safe. Surgery and scalpels were inseparable partners in rescue missions for centuries. Before the arrival of scalpel like instruments, the primitive tools that were used on human body included shark teeth, bamboo shoots, and surprisingly, fingernails. So in 1964, Charles D. Daughter performed the first peripheral angioplasty without a scalpel instead of using X ray technology and a small pinhole imaging device to see inside the body while performing the treatment. The procedure has become known as interventional radiology. Not only did the angioplasty allow the patients to avoid leg amputation surgery, but she left the hospital days after with only a bandage. Dr. Daughter's innovation was a stepping stone to a new branch in medical field known as MIIP, minimally invasive image guided procedures. Today, MIIP can be used in diagnosing and treating a broad range of ailments through the body, including stroke, aneurysms, fibroids, back pain, among others. It is superior to invasive surgeries in almost every aspect. The imaging technique eliminates guesswork and guides the surgeon to the operation site. The wounds at the surgical site are also minimal and reduce the chances of infection and scarring. National Without a Scalpel Day was proposed by the Interventional Initiative in 2005 to create awareness about the revolutionary MIIP, thereby enabling people to make better informed healthcare decisions. Today is also commemorated as National Religious Freedom Day in US observed on January 16th every year to promote the message of peace and acceptance. This day is to highlight the fact that everyone has a right to their own religious beliefs. People can go and worship in their churches, mosques, and temples, even mandirs freely since it is their human right. Unfortunately, not all nations are liberal regarding religious differences and often resort to violence and force to snatch away others' religious freedom, especially where the countries have official religions or majority of the religions in such countries. It is why National Religious Freedom Day was formed to spread the message of peace, love, and acceptance, live and let live in the US. Though America is a nation that promotes religious freedom, there was a time when people were not so tolerant. It took the media and government years to work on the cause of religious independence. To ensure the coming generations do not stray down the path of intolerance, National Religious Freedom Day is observed every year. The day was officially proclaimed on January 16, 1993, in an annual statement by the US President. The cause was further promoted with the historic signing of the International Religious Freedom Act in 1998. And we have the US Congress and US presidential administrations to thank for the constant support in the cause. The Virginia Statute for Religious Freedom is also one of the core foundations preserving an individual's right to choose whichever faith one prefers without any fear. The concept of religious freedom is essential for Americans because the idea is rooted in Article 18 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The article states everyone has the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. This right includes freedom to change his or her religion or belief, and freedom, either alone or in community with others and in public or private, to manifest his religion or belief in teaching, practice, worship, and observance. Religious freedom is also a subject that organizations such as United Nations deeply care about. Moreover, societies that protect religious freedom are more likely to experience a surge in economic and social development. A nation that promotes inclusivity is a happy one. Today is also commemorated as National Quinoa Day in US. This day is set aside to honor all things quinoa, a known superfood. Quinoa is full of dietary fiber and proteins. Originally cultivated in South America, the popularity of the grain spread in the US as a gluten free alternative to wheat and wheat based dishes. The popularity of quinoa has only increased, and now it is cultivated everywhere, including Europe and India. It is being considered as a solution for the world hunger. National Quinoa Day celebrates this superfood and its potential to support people who cultivate it. When it is first cultivated thousands of years ago, quinoa was fed to farm animals and used as food for cattle. Today is commemorated as National Nothing Day in US. It is celebrated since 1973, since the trappings and pomps of the holiday literally add up to nothing. Like its namesake, there's not a lot to tell. A mind teaser does occur to us though if you are not doing nothing, aren't you doing something? With nothing as a thing you are doing. In 1972, journalist Harold Pullman Coffin proposed National Nothing Day as a non-event to be observed by doing nothing every January 16th. The next year, National Nothing Day made Chase calendars of events, a publication that marks annual occasions in print since the 1950s. National Nothing Day is sponsored by the Coffin's own National Nothing Foundation. Unsurprisingly, there is nothing to be found about the organization. True to its title, it doesn't even have a website. Today is also commemorated as National Good Teen Day in US. This day helps parents and everyone alike recognize the efforts put in by teenagers to successfully go through a unique phase in their lives and appreciate them. Do you realize that the transitional phase of adolescence can be a difficult one, as teenagers are just getting to discover their own unique identities? Adolescence is a transitional stage of physical and psychological development that is generally associated with the teenage years. During this period, there is an identity development stage in the teen life cycle. For most, the search for identity begins with more openness to trying on different behaviors and appearances to discover who they are. Growing while maintaining an identity in this period is a difficult task due to multiple factors, such as family life, environment, and social status. In 1995, the US Congress, by Public Law 103-463, designated the day in celebration of teens throughout the nation. Congress authorized and requested the President to issue a proclamation in observance of the day, which he, William J. Clinton, went on to do, urging all Americans to observe with appropriate programs and activities. Today is also commemorated as National Fig Newton Day in US. Fig Newtons have remained a much loved pastry for over a century. Fig Newtons came into existence when, in the 19th century, physicians began to promote an increase in biscuits and fruit in one's diet as a remedy for digestive problems. Fig rolls became a popular food item as a result, and in 1891, Charles Roser invented a machine to insert fig paste into dough. After several business deals, the fig roll became a product of Nabisco, and the name was changed to Fig Newton. So on Fig Newtons are technically a cookie, but it's got figs in it, so it's healthy. Today is also commemorated as Book Publishers Day. On January 16th, every year, it is a day set aside to celebrate book publishers worldwide. These amazing people make it possible, and it is only proper that we have a special day to celebrate them. Publishing became possible with the invention of writing, and book publishers have been around for that long. Before the printing press, scribes would sit down and hand copy the works of authors. However, the printing press introduced by Johannes Gutenberg sparked a new age of publishing. The printing press gave a new tool to book publishers, and books started to get widely distributed. The Chinese inventor Bai Sheng made a movable type of earthenware circa 1045, but there are no known surviving examples of his work. The Korean civil servant Cho Yun Ui, who lived during the Goryeo dynasty, invented the first metal movable type around 1234. Early printed books, single sheets, and images were before 1501 in Europe, and they were known as incunables or incunabula. Traditional book publishers were selective about what they published. They did not accept manuscripts straight from the authors. Instead, got a proposal of the manuscript, then decided if they want to take on the job or otherwise. Book publishers buy or commission copy from independent authors. Newspaper publishers, by contrast, usually hire staff to produce text or employ freelance journalists. Magazine publishers may employ in house writers and freelancers or have a mixture of both. The publishing sector extends to government, civil society, private companies for administrative or compliance requirements, business, research advocacy, or public interest objectives. These can include annual reports, research reports, market research, policy briefings, and technical reports, and many. Today is also commemorated as Appreciated Dragon Day in US. Appreciated Dragon Day is celebrated annually on January 16th with loud flapping wings, flaming breath, and steely scales. Dragons are viewed as unstoppable masters of chaos. They are also presented as tameable and friendly creatures that can be great buddies with humans. The day is set aside to encourage people worldwide to appreciate the history and socio-cultural significance of mythical creatures. This week is also commemorated as International Hoof Care Week from January 16th to 19th. It is a week dedicated to educating the public, especially owners of hoofed animals and zoos that keep them on the significance of hoof care and measures to guarantee healthy animal hoofs. Hoofed animals such as horses, cattle, and pigs require proper care for their hooves. Negligence in their hooves care can result in infections, lame, and sore feet. Some, like horses, have odd toes, while others, like cattle, have even toes. International Hoof Care Week was first observed in 2003 when the American Farriers Journal organized its first International Hoof Care Summit. The week was created to reiterate the importance of hoof care and to educate the public on the ways to manage their animals' hooves. This follows the increase in dangers associated with animals having untended hooves due to their own owners' negligence. For owners of hoofed animals, especially horses, hoof care is a paramount to the healthy living of their beasts. It should be noted that when talking about hoofs, it is almost impossible to exclude horses from the picture, as the most hoof care sensitization targets them. This might be because they are widely owned as aesthetic animals and by royals, as is seen in their early domestication around 4000 BC. Perhaps the earliest horse owners in ancient Rome also realized the importance of hoof care. So they created a shoe like object fitted to their horses' hooves. The earliest forms of horseshoes first appeared in ancient Rome around 500 BC. In the 20th century, some men known as farriers, skilled in the act of tending to hoofed animals, particularly horses, began to spring up. Farriers were regarded as authorities in the care of hoofed animals. The American Farriers Association, AFA, was created in 1971 and the books on hoof care was published. The 1976 book Horseshoeing Theory and Hoof Care by Leslie Emery, Jim Miller, and Niles Van Hoosen focused on the shape of natural hooves. Today, the American Farriers Journal publishes several annual papers that answer various questions about the hoof care, both in domestic and wild animals trapped in zoos. They also chair the observation of International Hoof Care Week. So with this, we shall end this commemorations of the day. So we thank you everyone for joining us for today's commemorations. So see you all tomorrow at the same time with the same link with different commemorations. Before you leave, we request everyone to quickly fill up the feedback form, which has been raised in the form of polls. So see you all tomorrow. Take care. Good night.